are you? Hey, okay. So you ask how my faith has been. Man, it's definitely been an up and down, an up and down thing. I guess really the start of the pandemic, it's when it kind of hit a downward slope, and I was battling pretty hard just with the things that I had going on, like health wise, but then also
Right.
like I was really trying. I had a lot of questions and a lot of doubts because, like I said, I was just bitter about like why is this kind of stuff happening to me, and so I've really had to just come to grips with a lot of things. Number one, I'm not God, and I never will be. Number two, as much as I get caught up in this day to day life and this world going on around me, I am a human. I'm a material thing. I'm not going to last forever in this physical world as we know it.
Right.
Uh, but that's really not why we're here in the first place. Um, so my now, as of right now, I'm in a million times better place than I was, crud, like even just a couple months ago. Um, that flame has been sparked again, and it's growing. It's getting there. So I'm happy where I'm at in my walk, and I just want to do more. So that's where I'm at. We're
That's
good.
good.
We're good. Had some bad times there, but we're good.
I feel like COVID was just hard on a lot of people's faith because a lot of the churches closed down.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, we need that, camaraderie with other and fellow Christians and just hearing the word. And, I mean, yeah, we read the Bible, but when you're there, your focus is at church and, on what the, preacher's preaching. And, um, So I think COVID hurt a lot of people in the faith. I was blessed enough to where our church decided not to close down. We still did all the social distancing to an extent, but it's like where our attitude was, God wouldn't want us to close down, so we're not going to close down. And we that's when obviously a lot more technology came in. They started filming the and posting them like on Facebook and stuff so that the elderly could see them that weren't coming. But I do feel like a lot of people struggled during that time with their faith. And it's easy to do so. I mean, when you separate that connection with others and others who have the same beliefs as you do, and you don't have that camaraderie anymore, you don't have that one day a week where, for an hour to 2 hours or even 3 hours, you're just sitting there focusing on the Lord and, you know, what you're getting out of what the preacher's preaching. I mean, that's tough to do. That's tough to keep your faith strong right there.
I fought that so much too. Like I fought the whole because I'm a loner at heart, and I'm sure you can relate to that.
Right.
We really when we're by ourselves, we get recharged, you know.
Mhm.
But that's totally different though when it comes to like being a Christian because as a follower, being around and my father-in-law harped on this just throughout this time that I was struggling. We need to be around like-minded individuals. Like for example, like if you're if you're wanting to be a if you want to be a good bodybuilder, you want to surround yourself with like-minded individuals,
Right.
people who are knowledgeable, people who have been there, people who know the struggles of it all, just because it's going to benefit you. But now we're talking about spiritual stuff. Now we're talking about our relationship with God. And if you want to be the best Christian you can possibly be, why would you not treat that the same? And I
Right.
fought that so much, and because I just felt like I'm a lone wolf and I don't need nobody, and I'm just gonna do my thing, and I'm gonna have my relationship with God, and that's the stupidest thing I could have even, you know, that's the dumbest path I thought I could walk. And no, you're right. I mean, it did a lot of that. A lot of that for a lot of us, I think, did kind of begin around COVID. It kind of got us out of that groove. Now, I haven't even thought about that since, until you just mentioned it. So that what getting back to you real quick. Where y'all at now?
So we're in Saginaw right now, which is just north of Fort Worth, but we're actually looking at property. We might be closing on a couple acres here, depending on how the finances work out here. Shoot, maybe a week, 2 weeks. So we'll see. Hopefully it stays. Hopefully it doesn't fall through, but that's what we're looking at. So, which
Um,
we're looking at towards Decatur. So that's about 45 minutes north, a little northwest of Fort Worth.
okay. My brother is in DeKalb.
Okay. That'd be,
Um,
I think that's in East Texas, isn't it?
uh, Once you start getting like south of Texarkana, so like you got like Texarkana, and then you got like Linden Kildare,
Yeah.
and then you kind of like Mount Pleasant. Once you get below Mount Pleasant, I'm kind of like I'm a little iffy on my geographical sense of Texas. But yeah, I think it is East Texas, but I'm not 100% exactly. I know they operate. They live in Atlanta, like right on the outskirts of Atlanta.
Okay.
But I'm not really sure how that is from DeKalb and
I'm pretty
where
sure
y'all
that
are at. Uh,
that's East Texas, but I saw them. I kind of keep up with high school football a little bit here, and they're one of the top teams. In are they 3 or 4A?
I think 3A.
They're like top. I think I saw top 15, top 10 team in Texas in 3A. I mean, that's something to be said because it
Yeah,
is.
they're solid. Do you
So,
remember? Do you remember Spud?
no, I don't think so.
He's the big jacked up punter we had.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
He's from DeKalb, and
Okay.
that's really the only association I have with DeKalb is that our big jacked up punter who was bigger than everybody else on the team, who was a former. I think he's a former Marine. I'm not 100% sure on what his service life has been like, but yeah, he's from DeKalb. So
Dang.
uh, the Fighting Spuds is what I call them. But that's cool, man. So what are you doing now?
So I'm working for DR Horton, so which home building company, but I'm on the warranty side of things. So like if something goes wrong with the house, whether it's plumbing or electrical, I make sure it gets corrected and make sure that gets taken care of. So it's interesting. I've learned a lot from there. I didn't think my life would be in construction, but even when I started working at Home Depot in college, my entire life's pretty much been in construction, which is wild. But no, I enjoy it. It keeps I'm not sitting behind a desk every day, which I did that for 2 months and it drove me absolutely mad. So I'm happy with it. It's been a really good job and it's really family oriented. So big on family aspect of things. So that's really nice.
Um, Man, uh, I, it's starting to get really hard keeping up with everybody. I mean, for goodness sake, Garrett Dickey, he turned 23 the other day,
No, I saw
you
that.
know, and I'm just like, dude, I'm getting old now. Like, this finally starting to happen.
It's what's going on. Like I remember Brandon and B and G as I call them, and I mean, good night. They've grown so old, and time flies, man. Time really does fly as you get older. I know. I just had a little one, and I can't believe it's already been 4 months,
Golly.
and it's crazy, and time's just flying by, and
So, how's your experience? How's your experience been being a dad now?
I'm gonna
How's
say
that been
it,
for you?
it is the coolest thing. It is. Oh, it's amazing. Just seeing his little mannerisms. Like the other day, he laughed for the first time, and That was so cool. Just things you wouldn't think, would be cool. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like he made a new noise the other day, and I was like, that, just like the little things, or like he started tracking your face, or tracking you as you walk by, or smiles when you enter the room because he's recognizing you. I mean, it's just like the coolest things I wouldn't even have thought of. If someone came up to me like, "Oh, it's so cool, my baby," you know, recognized me the first time, I could see in his eyes like, "Oh, okay." But as a parent, it's like a whole different perspective, right? It's I would say it's probably it's yeah, it's so cool. One of the best things that ever happened.
We're about to have our third in November.
Saw that. That's pretty crazy, dude.
Yeah. Lee, our oldest, she's 4, and then she is a spitting image of me, and then Ben, who's 2, is a spitting image of M, and we got an absolute like incredible high definition ultrasound picture of what this third one looks like. And I'm not going to reveal the name online because I don't think everybody knows it yet. But he is he's like a mix. He's a perfect mix. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So now I'm like, okay, so is he going to act like Lily? Is he going to act like Ben? If he acts like Lily, we're in trouble. If he acts like Ben, well, those two will be quite the tandem because they're going to be really methodical and they're just going to, they, they puts a lot of thought into the mischief that he exhibits. So it's going to be dangerous either way. But I'm looking forward to it though. I never thought, I never thought, kid, kind of like you don't put a lot of thought of it into it until it happens, and then when it happens, you're like, this is the greatest thing. How could I have lived without this? So, um,
Exactly.
so a lot of these, a lot of what I try to do with these two, these, I really don't want to call them interviews, but just when I have people on, in the past, like I've talked a lot about how this is glory stories, like people sharing their athletic backgrounds and they get to relive the glory times, and I want to do that, but I think with your story
It goes
and
hand in
how
hand.
and how you and I are connected, the athletic leads to the spiritual. So first things first, I want to ask you about uh, your upbringing athletically. Like talk about the football culture a little bit in your area of Texas growing up and what that was like and how that shaped you going into your later years.
Oh my goodness. Well, in Texas, obviously everybody loves football. I say everybody. A lot of people love football. It's a big thing. I mean, in the smaller towns, you still have the towns that close down, and they fill out a stadium with 20,000 people a night. Bigger than some D1 colleges and stadiums here. Like, shoot, almost every single stadium here now with the big school districts like South Lake and Allen and all those schools. They have bigger stadiums than a lot of smaller D1 schools, which is crazy. So there's really emphasis on that, just on the football aspect of things. But so I started playing football I played it in kindergarten, pee wee and tackle and stuff. And then I didn't pick it back up until I'll say sixth grade. And I mean, it's really just a way of life. Like everybody uses it to, and I'll say everybody, the good coaches use it to help create leaders and to be better men.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you stay disciplined. It helps you be tough. Uh, I remember summers where we'd be out on the turf, 115 degrees, and outside, and the turf's hotter than that, where some of our shoes are literally melting off our feet. Um, and you just keep fighting, and you learn how to communicate with others. You learn how to push each other, um, and just build that team camaraderie, and that that just carries everyday life. Every single place you work at, for the most part, you're working with a team or with a unit of people, and that you have to the same goal to get the job done. And so it just helps you lead in that aspect, and it helps you realize that not everybody's motivated the same way, and it helps you learn to lead in a place of I'm going to do it, and not just giving commands as well. Um, but I mean that's really how it shaped me and molded me in my life. And I'll shout out Coach Perdome, one of the best coaches I've ever had. I mean, he was all about discipline. I mean, we were a student led, which is crazy to think, a student led team in high school. You don't hear that much, but we disciplined. Within the team, we held each other accountable, um, and that just helped. That I think that just helped everybody just grow strong characteristics of being a leader, and keeping yourself responsible as well as holding others accountable as well.
Now you were multiple sport, right? Like you played soccer as well, right?
So I played. Good night. I played. At one time, I played soccer, track, football, and rugby. Um, am I missing something? Soccer, football, track, rugby. No, I think that's all. Yeah, all four.
Yeah, that's just all, you know.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, God, I played baseball, but didn't do that. Um, yeah, won 5 state titles. That was pretty cool.
Golly, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
So I'll
Uh,
say for I'll say for 3 of them I was a part of. Can say that had a role, yeah, at least during the season. And then 2 of them, you're a sophomore just riding the pine, and
mm.
yeah. But I mean, it's pretty cool.
So fresh out of high school, you I'm trying to remember that I usually I come in here with a little bit of notes, just I kind of do my homework a little bit. I didn't do it as much for this one, but kind of walk me through after high school. You went and played rugby fresh out of
No,
high school, or
so I went to East Texas Baptist and was on the football team there.
okay,
And
that's right, that's right.
so that's where I went. It's small in Marshall, Texas, um, in East Texas. Nothing to do there, and I mean, yeah, I'll be honest. I lost the love of the game there. Uh, just it was just different, right? They bring in, and I won't say they did it with malice or anything like that, but you bring in a lot of dudes, you tell them what they want to hear, um, and then you go from there, and it was just a grind. I it was just a grind. You'd be told that you're going to do one thing, and then the next thing I started out wide receiver. Well, the next thing I know, I'm playing fullback, and then fullback and tight ends, and never cracked out of the practice squad. I was a redshirt freshman, and then the next thing I hear, uh, I'm going to play defense, because in high school I didn't come off the field really that senior year, and then so I went from, okay, you're going to play safety, to, okay, you're going to play linebacker, to the next thing I hear from a player was, okay, you're going to be defensive end. And I was like, I just got tired of it. I got tired of the grind because I didn't know what I was going to do or where I was going to go. So I decided to get up and leave. And there was nothing really to keep me in Marshall. The student life was kind of sorry at the time. I think it's gotten a lot better just because I do have a friend that just graduated there as well. So it seems like it got better, but I really lost the love there. And then I went on to actually coach at my high school. Just well, there was a lull there during the spring, and then in the fall, I found myself missing football, and so it ended up being uh, the wide receiver coach at the high school. And since it's a private school, you don't have to teach, and they actually offered me a job to stay there. Um, but then at that time, that's when who's the defensive coordinator at Henderson, Coach Gordon.
Your time, it was there was a co defense coordinator. It was Mac and Gordon.
Gordon,
Yeah,
yeah,
but yeah, but Gordon recruited your area.
yeah. He reached out to me and he asked if I was still interested in playing, and I said, yeah, I'm still interested, and that's how I wound up to Henderson.
Okay, so we we're at a good point. We kind of jumped over a little bit though. Jumped over a little bit of stuff. I which when you're at a small school like that, and I'm sure y'all probably talked about this as players, you're kind of just a number, because those small colleges, they live and die by the numbers.
Right,
And so, and then their way of retaining people is you feed them these promises and you kind of get them thinking like, okay, so yeah, you paint this picture that they're going to be successful there, and then all of a sudden it just crumbles because there's no foundation behind the promise.
right.
Uh, what did this approach that these coaches and just kind of like this day-to-day existence, what did this do to your faith at this point in time? Because I remember we had some conversation about that aspect was pretty hard for you. Do you mind sharing some of those details?
Right. So, my faith up until I really met you was just searching and um I mean, and I would have to go back to high school. So I think I told you the story to where there was a point in time where I didn't believe in God at all. Um, and that was about high school, and that was actually going into junior year. Was it junior year? Yeah, going into junior year. No, going into senior year. And I remember this, and this is where it all started. And you know, I don't know how many people believe in divine intervention, but I'm driving and I changed lanes, and unbeknownst to me, there's a motorcycle who popped a wheelie. It's dark on these roads. It's very poorly lit, and this guy in the bottom of his motorcycle is black. So I don't see it. I don't see a light. I don't see nothing. So I changed lanes, and then he comes down on the back of my car, and he does a flip, and I slam on the brakes, get out, and people are already around him, which I'm like, holy cow, like this happened like 30 seconds ago. And he's seizing out, and anyways, gruesome picture. And everyone's like freaking out, and I'm like, okay, this guy needs compression because he's bleeding out from his head, and he didn't have a helmet on. And so I began to take my shirt off because that's the only thing I can think of. And all of a sudden, this gentleman comes up in purple scrubs, and all I remember, he had long hair about down to his neck, and I remember that a halo right here, like where like a name would be, and it was just
Mm-hmm.
a small halo, and there was something written underneath it, and I don't know what it was, but it was purple scrubs, and he looked at me, said, "Calm down," and he said, "I saw everything." He said, "What are you about to do?" I said, "This guy needs he needs compression." Um, so that's what I'm about to do. He's like, I'll handle this. You go talk to the police officers. And by then, there's officers on the scene. And so I'm talking to the police officers, telling them, my account. And so I'm talking to them and they said, do you know if there's any witnesses that saw him? And I said, yes, sir. There's a gentleman. He had hair about neck length, purple scrubs, um, clean shaven. And he said, there's no one here with that description. And I was like, no, like I mean, I just talked to him. He told me to come talk to y'all. And about at that time, in a biohazard bag was his scrub top with the paramedic, removing it. I said, that's his scrub right there. And the officer said, sir, I'm telling you, there's no one, I'm getting chills right now. There's no one with that description here. And so from then on, I was like, all right, God, I know you're real. Um, you know, show me the way. And so from then on, I just began searching for, the truth, right? Um, like I said, I went to a private school, it was a Catholic school. Um, there's some things of Catholicism that I don't believe in. Not a knock on Catholicism, but just some things that I don't believe in, that that I felt separated me from Jesus and God. And so during that time, I was just looking. I didn't really have a strong faith base, right? Because I would consider, that's where my faith journey began. So we played senior year going into East Texas Baptist, another um, private school, but Baptist. It was a little different, but I didn't find what I was looking for. It like nothing like felt right. I hung out with a lot of guys um, that they were in a discipleship group, and that was really cool. So that helped me grow in that, and it made me see another aspect of a different way, a different faith, I would say, or a different way how to act out your faith, or a different way to think about faith. Um, and I didn't really, honestly, I didn't really take that seriously at all. Um, just because I think I was still young and immature in my faith. Um, so I say I didn't take it. There's some aspects that I took seriously, but it wasn't like, yeah, I wouldn't say I took it very serious.
So with Andrew, that's the first time I've heard that story. And at the end there, tearing up thinking about it now. At the end there, you just say that's where your journey began. And I'm sitting here and I'm just thinking about art, when you and I met,
Right.
and how, like there was a study one time there, I can't remember the guy's name. Um, there was a study done, and he shared this study with our class, one Sunday morning class, and he was talking about how individuals grow differently, and he used there were there it was like the different categories, and I think one of them was like individual study, another was individual ministry maybe, and then there was like pivotal circumstance, and then there was good grief, I can't remember the last one, but and I'm thinking about how, like, wow, there really is something to that. Like, we all, and we might all kind of fit in each category as we go throughout life. But when you start telling your story and how just like, oh, providential, but anyways, you start telling your story, and I'm thinking like, boy, you talk about a pivot. I mean, that was like you stop and you turn, because God has a funny way of getting our attention.
Right.
I say funny. He has a interesting way of getting our attention a lot of times. And so when you start telling your story, and I'm thinking about how all that led to me and you, I just sit here and cry, man, because I'm thinking, wow, uh, that is bizarre.
Yep.
That is what got you started. A lot of time, and you talk about your searching, uh, man. So what happened? Like, did you find out if the driver was okay, or did anything
So
come of it?
funny story. He tried to sue me. Uh,
Okay.
for
I guess he was fine.
I think it's $2 million, trying to sue me for $2 million. Um, and apparently he had told, his lawyers some story. And then when we got to the courthouse, I remember I was really frustrated because I was able to go the first half of 2 days because it happened there. The court case came during the summer, and we're building up to the first game of the season, which is a really big game. Um, and I had to miss half of 2 days. I'm like, this dude, he's in the wrong. He's trying to sue me. And they didn't know that he had popped a wheelie. They got other, witnesses testifying that even before that, he was driving erratically in and out of traffic. And as soon as his lawyers found that evidence out, when we got to the court, they just dropped everything. So I probably, I remember going to the courthouse and showing photos of the damage of my vehicle where it showed that he came down on my back on the trunk of the car and doing that. And I don't think we were even out because they said, okay, well, we got this. We'll discuss it. And then, y'all can leave and come back. I don't even think we were out for maybe 20 minutes before we got a call back saying, hey, you can come back now. And so when it was presented, it was like, yeah, we're done with this. But I was like, a part of me was also frustrated because I'm like, dude, I stopped and I was just like, I guess render aid, right? No one was doing anything. There's like 5 people just like freaking out. And it's like, what are we doing here? Like, this guy's bleeding out. And I'm like, and then you come and do this. That actually kind of really peed me off now thinking about that. That's a side note, but yeah, it really did.
Well, you try to help somebody, and then they come around and try to take your money.
Exactly.
Only because they probably had somebody get in their ear like, "Hey, man, you can get something out of this," or like you never know.
Right.
But gosh, hopefully he learned. I mean that's all you can hope for. Because honestly, I probably won't want to talk to the guy ever again after that. Man, that's wild though. Okay, so now this is the part I was looking forward to. We get to we get to the spring of 2016,
Yep.
and it's before the semester starts. And at this point in time, I'm I guess you could say student. I wasn't a student. It's more like a voluntary intern because I wasn't a GA, but I was working on my master. I was somewhere in between, so I just had my voluntary intern. Um, but we're all sitting there in the like the coaches lounge area, and we just see this long, bowed up, big shouldered dude just come walking back there, asking about like, hey, when do I need to show up, or hey, when's first day or something, first day of the spring. And you left a physical, like, just, people talk about passing the eyeball test. Well, you passed the eyeball test, and I'm just like, good grief. Okay, cool. I wonder who recruited that guy. Good job, Gordon. And so we are. I can't remember if we were like maybe like a week, maybe 2 weeks or so into the off season, and it's like a Saturday.
Yeah. We were doing testing. We were doing I think we were just getting our maxes down to get our percentages for the workouts.
Okay, but you and I, we were in the weight room together. I
Yeah.
was sitting on one side, you were sitting on another side, and we were doing bench, I think. Maybe. I
Man,
don't know. I don't even know if we were working out. I just remember like we were sitting across from each other, and I just got like this, I don't know, this overcoming urge to ask you a question. Do you remember the question that I asked you?
was it, are you, because I remember what struck me about you is that we prayed before the workout or after the workout.
Like
Do you-
like just me and you, or like as a
No,
team?
like it wasn't as a team as the group that I was in.
Oh, okay.
And I remember that struck me because I mean I was at a private school and we were praying. I was like, that's pretty cool. And you led it. And I remember coming up to you, or maybe you came up to me, and I think you asked, if I was going to church or something to that effect. Do you remember?
I asked you if you prayed today,
Ah, yes.
or if you spoke to Jesus today.
That
That,
was that was
uh,
that if I'd spoken to Jesus today.
That was my thing back then.
Yeah.
What did look? I'm just gonna tell you now. I can't tell you how many people I walked up to, and I would ask that question, and they would just be like, "Nah, sure," and that was it. You know, like, or they might give a yes and have a nice day kind of stuff. But you and I asked you that question, and like a door opened that was just that led to years, months of just, I mean, like months of fellowship, months of service, months of brotherhood. After the spring, so much happened in that semester because I left, like I left maybe like gosh like halfway through the semester. Um,
Yeah.
like I just couldn't be there anymore. And then, but at some point, I don't know if I was still at Henderson when this happened, but at some point, we had been having these talks. We had been having these discussions about, just our walks. And I think you had come to church a couple of times, and we were just, I mean, we were almost inseparable in a sense, like you and I, like it was almost like a Paul and Silas relationship. Um, the night you decided to give your life to Christ, do you remember where we were at?
Yeah, we were at the fitness club, Arkadelphia. What was it called? Arkadelphia Fitness Club.
The Hell Club, yeah.
And I was bench pressing. I forgot what I was. I was struggling with it though. And I got a couple reps in, and then all I go is I want to be baptized. And I finished this and yeah, that's how that happened.
You just rack the weight, dude. You like you hit it, you do like three, you do your reps, and you put the weight up, and you just stand up. I want to get baptized. Like what? Right now? You go, let's go right now.
Yeah.
It's like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah. It was late. It was really late.
But we got a hold of Tony, and we had some other people show up. I think Hunter and Caitlin were there.
Caitlin, Tony Kelly. I think I don't know. There's photos of that night. I always love seeing those on Facebook, man. It's the happiest. I remember uh Tony called me over to the truck and jumped up in there and he's like, "Do you know why you're doing this?" And I remember I was so overcome with joy and excitement, I could not talk. I could just shake my head. Like I just remember that feeling. Like, oh my goodness, it was one of the I mean, it's just full of joy, right? The Lord brings joy. I was just completely full of joy that I could not talk. And I remember he's like, "You know, why are you doing this?" And I just shook my head. And, every single response was, just shaking my head because I couldn't talk. I couldn't get words out. I was just so excited. Yeah,
Wow.
that was a great night. That was an amazing night. And we were, I remember, oh my goodness, my favorite live session, and I know you remember this, is when we went back to Gosnell and
Oh man.
we did that. What we call that, or what'd you call it, the Ironman workouts?
The Iron Marathon.
The Iron Marathon. We were doing bench press. Boy, I tell you what, the Holy Spirit was in that room that night.
It was intense.
It was so powerful because so we're just working out and the Iron Marathon where we start at 1 and then we switch and then we go to 2 and then we switch and then we go to 3 and switch all the way up to 20 and then we'll work our way back down. This entire time we are just yelling different scriptures at each other like as motivation, just constantly. And I remember uh who was the girl that you were dating at the time was in there, and it was too powerful for her, man. Remember that?
He left.
She left. She, what she said? She said she got scared, didn't she?
uh, yeah,
I, I
I
remember,
think so.
and I mean, it was. I'm dude. This, I mean, the spirit was heavy in there. The presence of the Lord was in that gym that night. There's no doubt in my mind about it. It
Yeah,
was that was the most emotional, um, uh, emotional, physical workout and just faithful workout I think I've ever been a part of and ever will be. I mean, you can't. There's no way that anybody would be able to recreate that. There's no way that we would be able to recreate that. We could do the same things, and there's no way that that could be recreated.
mhm.
That was, yeah. I still remember that a lot, actually, a lot. That was
You're
good.
bringing up some. You're bringing up some good memories, man. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, not the part about scaring Sydney, you know, to where she was ready to leave. Like that was. I feel bad for that, but but yeah. I mean, this is stuff I haven't thought of in good grief, man, in years. Wow.
it was
Hmm.
really. I mean, our relationship really did revolve around, the Lord and God. Uh, because we talked about it constantly, and I mean, I'll say, I mean, you really discipled me uh in my faith, right? I know a lot of people don't get the opportunity to, when they accept the Lord in their life and are baptized, unless they have someone like close like that, and also to have the time to do that, they don't really get discipled, because there's that jumping off point that, accept the Lord into your life and you're baptized, and then, I think some people just, okay, what's next? What's my next step? Where do I go from here? And I don't know if you realized it or not. I don't know if you knew you were doing it, but I mean, you really discipled me on a lot of things, like being in the Word. I never was really in the Word, and we would read scripture. I remember we went out to, what was that place?
We went out to DeGray,
Yeah.
and I think his name was Mike Williams.
Oh
Showed up.
yeah. I remember good old Mike.
I told this story not too long ago. I can't remember who I told this story to, but yeah, we went out there and we were. I don't know if we were just having struggles with something or what the case was, but I remember like we were just talking. You know, we were reading scripture on like the cliff part that overlooks Lake DeGray,
Yeah.
and and I don't even know exactly. I guess we were just needing something to do or something. I don't know, but yeah, we go out there and we're talking about this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden this this old guy comes walking up, and first of all, you got to know where we're talking about, because this is not just some place where you can just like go on a leisurely stroll, you know, and just like what, like you have to walk like through some wooded area, you know, and it's not an easy walk to get to.
No, not at all.
And here comes this elderly guy. He just comes walking up out of nowhere, and he's like, "Hey, what y'all doing?" You know, and we're uh, my initial thoughts were, "You're not gonna kill us, are you?"
It's
But
like,
like,
you doing out here?
but we we say something to him, and he kind of shares like this advice with us, you know, like just this, you know, elderly advice, and it fit whatever it was we were talking about, and we just kind of, I remember looking at you like,
It was relationships. We were talking about relationships.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. And
So
so yeah, how to scare your girlfriend off 101. But yeah, and we were just like, is that odd to you, or is it God? You tell me. Like, how do you explain this?
I've learned one thing. There's no such thing as coincidences with God.
Hmm.
There's absolutely none. I'll tell you a story. Um, I got two actually. One recently happening to a buddy of mine, but one is really personal. So um, there's one day it was so Sid and I were dating, and um, it's about that time of like, okay, are we really going to continue with this? Are we really, it's kind of like that point. It's like, okay, am I ready to make that decision, to commit to her, to, propose to her and everything. And so I'm praying and, I ask Lord, I say, show me a sign, Lord, that confirms that she is the one that you have provided for me. Like she's the one that you want me to be with. And in my head flashes cow print, just like cow print. And man, when I tell you my heart sunk and I was sick to my stomach because Sid at the time did not own anything cow print, like nothing. Like she had a couple other Western stuff, but nothing with cow print on it, man. And I was so just disheartened and I was sick to my stomach. And so I wrote it down because if I think the Lord shows me a sign or a vision, I write it down. Um, and so I wrote it down, and she was coming back from a women's retreat from San Antonio, Texas. And so that night, uh, I meet her at her parents, and we're eating dinner and we're talking. And all of a sudden, I notice she has a cow print, like it's got like a cow print circle, and there's like a cactus in the middle. And dude, I'm telling you, it is. I prayed that morning, that prayer, saw that cow print that morning, wrote it down, and I dated. And man, I got so excited. I got chills. And I said, I told him, I said, wait, y'all aren't gonna believe this. And so I get my journal that I keep with that stuff and I open it to it and it says, look for cow print. And man, I was so elated. But that's the thing, like God sets everything, God sets everything up. Yes, there's free will. It's our choice whether we want to abide in that free will, but yet he still kind of knows the decision that in the plan that he has for us, right? And man, I remember that, and I could not tell you how happy I was, to see that and to recognize that. And
Well, oh, sorry.
you're good.
Well,
Well,
what you're describing, I mean, what you just said, like, yes, we have the freedom of will as individuals, but at the same time, James says this, the book of James 1:17, it says, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. Every good gift, like he does provide, and
right.
he knows the needs of us. And so, I mean, I go back to say it again. Is it odd or is it God? You tell me.
It's always God, man. It's uh there's a time, and how I recognized this was, oh well, that's a coincidence. Oh well, that's a coincidence. Well, let me tell you this: how many times is it going to be a coincidence before you give God, God the credit?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just God puts things in our lives, and we have to open our eyes and recognize, that He's putting it in our lives, right? That He's showing us signs to help direct us. When we ask for guidance, He says, "Ask and you shall receive." Um, and one thing I've also learned, and I'll get to the other story here in a bit, but this just came to mind, is just putting everything, when I forget what scripture it is. I know the scripture, but I'm really bad about quoting it or knowing exactly where it is. But it says, cast every doubt or cast all your anxieties onto the Lord. And I really took that and, meditated on it. What does that really mean? Like, big or small? And this is what I concluded to was no matter how big or how small you think it is, he wants to know about it because he wants that relationship with us. He wants us to come to him about literally everything. And I've come to a point now where, and sometimes I forget, sometimes I'm really good about it. But before I start work, before I go work out, before I do anything, I pray and ask God for guidance in all situations because that's really casting everything to him and says, Lord, you got this. I'm putting it in your hands. I know you have my best interest in me. No matter what happens, I know you'll get me through it. And and that's just what I've learned. And I'm gonna say, like, I thought about that question probably. I know it's been the last year, like 9 or 10 months ago, and really, and that's completely changed my whole outlook on things. Really, just knowing that he wants us to come to him. He wants that relationship with him. Like when we go to prayer with him, it should be like you and me talking right now. And I know people say that a lot, but it's the truth. Like there's sometimes in my head where I just think that the Lord's right in front of me. And so when I pray, I like to pray out loud. I like to pray outside too. And it's just like him and I are having a conversation. And it's a sometimes you think it's a one-sided conversation, and then all of a sudden the next day something happens that you talked about. It's like, all right, that's not a coincidence. That's God. Because there's no way I'm going to bring that up last night. And it's never been brought up until that night. And then it gets brought up the next morning. Yeah, I mean that's just God. But I got another really good story, and this just happened to a buddy of mine a couple days ago, and he's going through a tough time with a relationship, and he's a salesman, and so he was going around and trying to find this office space, and he finally found it, but he couldn't find the gentleman he was looking for. So he asked the lady at the front desk, and she pointed in his direction, and she asked, "Can I talk to you afterwards?" And he said, "Yes, sure." And so he did his thing, and came back out, and the lady talked to him, and he said that he almost told her without she almost told him without saying the person's name, but gave like details and everything of what was going on in his life at that moment. And she said, "Don't worry about this. God has you, and just focus on God." Now tell me that ain't God's. You know, how is a lady going to know everything without God? And I know it's crazy.
So,
I know it's crazy, but it's like he's working in our lives, and he has our best interest in mind in all things.
so, so, so let me see if I can understand the story a little bit more, a little bit better. The lady told him a story
I
about
never
some okay about somebody else, but when she was describing somebody else, it fit him to a T.
no it she was talking about him
Oh, oh, oh!
story. Yeah. So and
Wow.
he had never met this lady before. And without saying, because it's a relationship issue, and without saying the girl's name, like just said, "Hey, I know what you're going through," and rattled it off. And she said, "Don't worry about what God was it." I'm not gonna be able to quote it correctly, but it's on a text message, and I'm using my phone right now, and I don't want to get in and out of it. But it was essentially about what God has it set up for you. Focus on God. Essentially, that was the message. Like, God will take care of you. Just focus on Him. Don't worry about what He hasn't set up for you. Don't worry about trying to fix this relationship. Worry about what He has in store for you. If that makes sense.
Man.
How crazy is that,
So,
man?
well, okay. First of all, you don't realize what you've just done. That's one. Number two, that is insane. Okay. I mean, yes, you talk about things that are divine and just you don't know. how people are really connected, but
Right.
at the same time, the connection is still there, and that story was meant for him to just, again, turn his life. But do you realize that the story that you just told, the moral of it fits everything that I'm struggling with right now?
Really.
Like, and you have no idea how bad I needed to hear that. Just that little snippet just then. I mean, it's something so simple, but at the same time, don't give your attention to the things of this world, because it's just smoke and mirrors. Don't
Right.
give your attention to the things that are causing you harm, because when we worry about these things, it's just beating us down. I mean, I'm a victim of panic attacks. I'm a victim of anxiety. A lot of it is brought on myself because I'm putting my focus on things that I don't need to have my focus on. But at the same time, like, my focus is not where it needs to be.
Right.
I just had this weird revelation in my head of just about stuff, and I'm just like, man, he got freaked out from that, and I just got freaked out from him being freaked out about that. Like,
Well, there you
thank
go.
you.
The Lord's working, man.
Seriously though,
He's always working.
gosh, you ever just feel like an idiot because
All
you look back? Yeah.
all the time.
So I'm gonna ask you this now. We're getting close. We got to go watch. We got to go watch the Razorbacks play Arkansas State, because that's a pretty big deal around here. First time ever. But
Well, yeah, because Arkansas not afraid that Arkansas State's going to beat them.
I'm not going in with any expectations whatsoever. I'm just gonna enjoy it. Okay, like, I'm just gonna enjoy it and say I watched it and be done with it. But I think Arkansas is gonna steamroll them. But I'm gonna ask you this before we close. If you have one message that you can share to the world right now, just about your walk, and like, if there's one thing you could preach to any one individual right now, what would that message be? And what would be your hope after sharing that message?
Let me see if I can put this into words. No matter what you have done, God has not given up hope on you.
Have you been watching my videos like the past couple of days or something? Like, have you have you studied?
No,
Like,
no,
dude,
that
these are the exact things I've been talking about, like, in my past in my past two videos. I
really
talked about Joe. Yes.
no. I haven't had the time to sit
Who's
down
he
and watch.
trying? Who's he? Well, okay, boy, this is.
No, I really haven't had the time to watch them. I'll be honest.
It's blowing my mind right now, because Andrew, another thing I have been struggling with so much is that right there. That I feel like I've done so many bad things and have just been so distant from God that I wouldn't be upset with him if he turned his back on me. Like, I know that I don't deserve his goodness.
We we don't. You and I both don't.
And
But that's why He sent Jesus Christ, because He loved us so much, right? He loved us so much. He gave us His only Son. We don't deserve it. No one deserves it.
but I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for you, because I'm
Amen.
gonna be, man. Look, just because I played the role in the beginning that I played with us doesn't mean that's going to be my role in this forever. You know what I mean? Because now we disciple each other, and it's not a mentor mentee kind of thing. Like that's not we're brothers,
Right.
okay? And I want that to be how it is forever between you and me. And I
Amen.
don't ever whether with you, with James, and there are so many others. Like I have so many others that I want to bring on here and just have similar conversations with. But I don't want that to change between us, man, because like my life is enriched by you, and so I just thank you for everything that you've been for me, and I hope that moving forward I'm not this fuddy duddy. I could have used a better word there, but this just I know I need to be better for you and everybody else, man. Just thank you
Well, brother,
for
I appreciate you. There's, if you didn't do what God called you to do and help lead me, because that's what you did, you accepted the call. I mean, I wouldn't be here. I don't know where I would be at, but our friendship, the relationship we built, the relationship that you helped me build with others, man, there's dark times where I couldn't have gotten through with it. And so I appreciate you, everything that you've done. I appreciate you for baptizing me. That was one of the coolest things. I'll never forget that. And yeah, I mean, we are brothers, right? We're in this together, and we're here to support. And that's one thing about faith, and what I've come to realize is it's a roller coaster. You're gonna have your highs where you feel so connected to God that you're inseparable, and then you're gonna have your lows where it's like, you know, God, where are you? And that's just life. I mean, even Jesus on the cross asked, why have you forsaken me? He felt alone at that point too. And and we got to be there to help one another, and just like all our friends, including James, Tony, Kelly, Miss Judy, love Miss Judy. Um, I mean, we got it because it's a struggle. It's a struggle of life. This one thing I've realized is that this is not God's domain down here. That's in heaven. Down here, it's the enemy's domain, and we got to stick together as brothers, as Christians, to help get through it. Because it's gonna be a struggle. There's gonna be temptations in our life that we're gonna struggle with, and there's gonna be points of doubt. Like you've expressed and we've talked about, and we just got to be there for one another, knowing that at someday, you know, you're gonna be there for me, and vice versa. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think, and we kind of talked about it before we got on the uh, recording here, was about being together and having that camaraderie with other Christians. Look at Jesus; he wasn't alone. He didn't do it by himself.
mm-hmm. He rested. He had time alone,
Right,
but it wasn't the emphasis.
right. I mean, where's only obviously there's 12 disciples, but what about all the people that traveled with him too?
Mm-hmm.
Because really, we know what only about really we know about 13 or 14 disciples, right? Something like by name is what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
But then the women that traveled with them, the other men that traveled with them that they could have picked from. I mean, they all needed that camaraderie. They all needed that we're in this together, and Jesus is their Lord and Savior, and Jesus is our Lord and Savior, and everything is the same, right? I think there's a scripture about everything's. I'm not gonna be able to quote it correctly, but I mean, we're in this together, and
Mm-hmm.
that's and I think I like I've seen you talk to James and your dad, and y'all have talked about faith and all of those things, and I mean, that's part of it, sharing stories, right? Sharing testimonies and giving others inspiration, or you know what, if he got through that, I can get through that. Or if he believed that way and now he's here, that's what I needed to hear. Like you just said, I mean, this is all inspiration, right? All to help motivate each other to continue the good fight. And at that final day, here, well done, my good and faithful servant. That's what we're striving for.
Man, you are on fire, aren't you?
Mm.
Love it, man. You're glowing right now too. Like you're radiating. That might just be your background too, but no, you I'm 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 definitely. I said earlier, like my flame has been lit, but I think you're cranking the temp up just a little bit there, Bubba. So I appreciate that. Well,
God,
Andrew, I think we're gonna wrap things up. I think my little man's probably getting close to waking up, and I got to be there to keep him from tearing the house down. He's a little Tasmanian devil. Um, but man, yeah, we'll stay in touch, and I say this to everybody. Could be a part two in play. Either on here. I got another show called Supersets, so could be a part two. But um, man, I'll catch you next time, and yeah, hope everything's going good for you.
sounds good, brother. Same with you.
All right, we'll catch you later.
All right, see you, brother.